If you want to have a child for yourself, because men don't like kids, not even their own.
When I tell you in this life, as a woman, you always have to think with your brain and not with your heart. I'm going to explain why, okay? As a 26-year-old woman, there's a very, very easy reason that I can give you as to why I've not had any children yet, okay? And it's something that I've observed that does make me really sad for the women that have gone through it, but it keeps me wise, right? A lot of men don't want to be fathers, and not in a mean way. I mean, as in, a lot of men don't want children themselves. I feel like they meet somebody who wants kids, so they'll meet you, you want children, they like you or they love you in that moment, and therefore they then make that decision. But what I've realised is a lot of men, because they don't actually want children, their interest is in you. So what I've noticed is a lot of men, when they break up with the woman, they go AWOL. Because they didn't want kids. And I'm not saying they don't want kids, like they hate kids or whatever, no. But I feel like we need to date men that actually want children. For me personally, I am not dating somebody that wants kids because I want kids. Like, I would never date somebody that wants children because I want children, or wants marriage because I want marriage, or wants a good, healthy marriage because I want a good, healthy. That needs to be a core value in your own life. Like, you need to have that before me. And that's why it's really smart to be equally yoked. And people think being equally yoked is just about marriage, in a spiritual sense. No, being equally yoked also needs to be in the morals that you have, in the principles that you have. Because what's happening is a lot of lovely women are meeting people who are lovely to them, and rightfully so. They're thinking, this is a safe space, a safe environment for me to have a child. But what they're not realizing is the interest is in you. It's not in the kids. Therefore, when that interest in you severs, so does the interest in the kids. So I always say it. If you meet a man, don't go forth into being a parent with this person unless they have that desire to be a parent themselves. And this goes for women as well. Don't do it if that person wants it because of you. Don't ever convince men to do things that you want to do. Don't do that with them. If you're talking to a guy and he's like, I'm not really sure about marriage. If you're sure about marriage, time to cut. And this is the issue. A lot of women are compromising on things you can't compromise. You can't compromise on that. Do you understand? Like, if I meet you and you don't dress that nice, okay, cool, we can compromise. I can help you dress. But if I'm telling you I want marriage, you're telling me you don't want marriage, we're basically saying we want two different lives. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that a man can't change his mind about certain things. Of course he can eventually. But if a man is telling you, I've not really thought about marriage, and he's 30, and you've been thinking about marriage all your life, if you say you're desperate, that's the truth. Because at the end of the day, there's certain things I'm not compromising on. I'm not compromising on core principles. I'm not doing that with you. I'm so sorry. If you don't want what I want, nice knowing you.
I will stitch this lady's videos until we get sense as women. Men like the idea of having children, but not the responsibility that comes with having kids, because that's why you'll see most fathers are only playing with the kids when they're not crying and when they are, they have been fed and they are happy and they are healthy and they're not sick, because naturally men are not naturals. That's not how they were created. And this idea of us forcing ourselves to have kids because a man told you to have kids is very stupid, because at the end of the day, that man is not going to be there for you. He will be there physically, like you'll see him physically. But the emotional, the mental, and the psychological stress that comes with having a child, you should be the one who's ready for those kind of consequences. Because at the end of the day, even if you have a supportive husband, he'll wake up in the middle of the night to go and feed the baby and support you through that. Yes, but at the end of the day, if he decides to detach, he will detach and forget like he even had kids or he's a father. And I have seen this a lot, where people disappear for years, where they don't even know, they know they have a child somewhere, but they don't know what the child is eating. They don't know how the child is going to school. They don't even know anything about the child. And these women keep forcing these men to be fathers to these children, yet they like the idea that they are a father. They like the idea that somebody has their name, but they don't like the responsibility of having children. And that's why I keep saying, having kids, the responsibility of having children lies 100% on us women. So I do not want to hear a woman say it's an accident. It's only an accident when a contraception fails. And sometimes when it fails and it's early enough, you have options. Be a parent by choice, but don't be forced by society, religion, and all these kind of things going on around you. Yet they're not going to feed your child when you're hungry, when the child is hungry. They're not going to help you take care of the child or even take the child to hospital when it's sick. So the best thing you can do for yourself as a woman is for you to decide that you want a child, and whether this man is in your life or not, you are going to raise this child 100%. And God bless the heavens if he decides to be present and active. But naturally, men are not naturals. They are not. That's why you see in cases where a wife gets sick, most cases some men will abandon the wife and marry another one because that's not who they are. So as women, let's learn to, to assess this kind of consequences that come with childbearing and not just...
Friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking. Kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel. So in today's video, we'll be talking about a very important topic: why some men don't like kids. Okay, so I've seen these videos on TikTok saying that. Now, before we get into it, I want to say that this is a universal truth for men. There are tons of guys out there who love kids, but today we are focusing on the ones who don't. So let's get into today's video. So first of all, let's talk about culture and society expectations. Historically, society has expected women to take on the most caregiving responsibilities for children. Men have been cultured, conditioned to be breadwinners, which sometimes create this gap between them and nurturing roles. Some men may grow up without developing a strong bond or interest in kids because it's never been expected of them in some way. But here's the thing: these old school expectations are changing. More men are becoming involved fathers and even primary caregivers. Still, for those who are not interested in kids, this society conditioning could be a factor. They might feel like they are just not built for that nurturing role. Another big reason why some men don't like kids could be tied to the idea of freedom. A lot of men associated having kids with losing their independence. Think about it. Kids require constant attention, time, and energy. For men who value their personal freedom, the idea of having to sacrifice their hobbies, sleep, or spontaneous lifestyle can feel overwhelming. It's not necessary that they dislike children, but rather than lifestyle comes with them. Some men might feel like kids mean something goodbye to their passions, their free time, or even their careers. The truth is, kids do change your life in a huge way, okay? But many people and women alike find that the joy of raising children outweighs those sacrifices. But for some men, the fear of losing that personal autonomy makes the idea of kids unappealing. Now let's shift gears a bit. Another factor could be lack of positive role models. If a guy grew up in a household where this dad wasn't involved or did not show much affection, he might subsequently believe that parenting just is not for him. If he never saw that nurturing side in his own father, male figure, he could not connect with kids comfortable around. This is not a hard rule, but we often learn by example. So if a man grew up in an environment where dads were not present or affectionate, he might distance himself from the idea of fatherhood together. Another thing that plays a huge role is emotional vulnerability. Let's face, raising kids demand a lot of emotion. You have to be apparent, open, and vulnerable. Society does not always encourage men to express these qualities. It can be intimidating to imagine having to open up emotionally in such a role. When kids bring out your soft side, your nurturing side, they push you to be vulnerable. For some men, that's really uncomfortable because then they have never had to develop those emotional skills. It's not that they hate kids, it's that they are unsure how to handle those deeper emotional demands. And let's be real, one huge reason some men avoid kids is a financial responsibility. Children are expensive, from diapers to education and everything in between. For some men, the idea of financial supporting a family for 18 plus years feels overwhelming, especially if they don't feel like they are in a stable place in life. It can feel like a lot of pressure to be financially ready for that level of commitment. This could make some men hesitant or even scared of having kids, seeing them as more of a financial burden rather than a source of joy. So with these reasons in mind, it's important to understand that men, like women, have the right to their own preferences and feelings, whether it's because of fear, society conditioning, financial pressure, emotional readiness. Is okay for some men not to want kids. The important thing is being honest with your partner and knowing what you want out of life. I don't know what you think. Have you noticed this in your own life or relationship? You need to drop your comments. Why men they don't want kids? Because we've seen that a lot of men are not interested. Okay, yeah, because for you to have kids, like me, I understand them. You have to be financially and mentally ready. Your mind first. Okay, because kids take a lot. Like they need your attention. They need a lot of stuff. So you need to be financially independent. It comes with a lot. The kid needs to eat, the kid needs to dress, the kid needs to wash. You need to wash your clothes, need to be clean every time. They need food, they need shelter, they need to start going to school. You need to take care of them from baby to older. So it comes with a lot of responsibilities becoming a parent. So you need to weigh yourself. Are you going to manage? Because you can't just bring someone who you're going to feel to take care in this world. Okay, so if you're not ready, don't do it. It's not a forcing matter, and it's not a must like the society has said. You have all the choices that you can also be child free. There's no problem. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.